Okay guys, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to use something in the Atari 8-bit computers known as display lists. With display lists you can actually go ahead and change how the text shows up on the screen. This is actually a graphics 3 mode, believe it or not, and what I've done is graphics 1 mode, and what I've done is I reversed the text window and moved it here to the top, where normally it'll be here at the bottom. And let me demonstrate that real quick to show you. If I go into graphics 3, you probably can't see it, but there's a text window down here. Change the color, you might be able to see it. Let's see. Whoops. That wasn't much better, was it? 710, 255. I'll let that help. Let's see. 20. Let's try to make it so you can see it. But this is graphics 3, and if I run the program again, I just lost focus with my camera doing this too again. Okay, so what you're looking at is how display list, this up here in the window, I know you can't see it, I wish you could. This is actually the data for the display list that's being output actually to the screen. Let me see if I can actually, let's see if I could try to trick the camera into showing that, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Let me see if I change the color mode. And if I make it black, you'll see it. Let me actually back into the program here 1 minute. I just want to do that just so you can see the numbers. Now you see the numbers here at the top, because I turned the text window to a dark background color. Those numbers are actually set up inside of the display list itself. Notice the other one's turned off here because they're the same color as the background of the text window. That's why you're seeing missing messages here. So if you see this, it says 112, 112, 112. That's actually keeping track of the top part of the screen, which is actually done during a raster scan of the computer. So anytime you're using a display list, you would want to use 112, 112, 112. And let me go into more information to show you about the display list and how it's activated. Hopefully you can see this. Okay, so what I wrote is DL equals peak 560 plus peak 561 times 256. And that's actually a display list, how you activate it. And if you hit print DL, you'll see the number. It shows 40286, and that's the display list number used to basically tap into this power. I'm going to demonstrate a lot of this in graphics mode 3 now with another program that I developed just to graphics 0, to show you how these actually work. I just lost my camera again. That one actually came out pretty good. Move the screen here a little bit. Okay. Okay, so what you're looking at now, let me see if I can kind of line this up a little bit. What I've done now is I've actually gone ahead and I ran a program that's outputted the display list. It shows basically the display list numbers that are stored in memory inside of graphics mode 0. This is graphics mode 0. You probably don't know it already, but I've actually modified it. And I'll show you first by just doing a graphics 0 here. And you can just see that this is a regular graphics 0. Now if I run the program, everything looks the same, except look at the top here. I've actually gone ahead and the camera just jumped out again. I've gone ahead and I've actually modified the top line, the scan line here. So you see where here I can sit there and type anything I want up here basically. I typed anything. This camera is so horrible. Give me 1 second here. I don't know why this camera, its focus is really weird, so I have to keep playing with it a lot. So it seems to focus right whenever I'm moving stuff, focus on my hand, and it's a really, really strange camera, and then sometimes it loses the screen when it's doing it. So let me go back to what I was explaining here. So I got to keep watching my screen here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tap into some things and change this top line here. Okay, so you see this line that says poke DL plus 3 down to 66 plus 2. This is actually controlling the scan of the top line here, which is up here, anything I type up in here basically. So if I go in and I change it, you see that? It actually enlarged it basically. So you can kind of go through this and change it. You notice the screen moves around when you do though. That's because this is actually how the scroll works, but that's actually because in graphics mode 2, which I have up here right now, there's actually only so many character lines here, and I think it's like 19 versus down here we have 40, so it actually moves the display and you have to reset it with other commands and calls. So let me just rerun this to reset this. So, the poke DL plus 3, 66 plus 2. That's the standard there. Let's see if I lose anything if I do this. Okay, so what that did is it restored it. Did you notice that? Now you can see this at the top of the screen, where before you saw it in a different text mode. So if I add 2 to it, it basically just accessed that, what's called an Antic Mode, basically. And whatever you decide to do with it. So as soon as you go into these, of course the screen's going to change and shift over. It goes up to 15 actually. Yep, that one actually shut off, so let me restore it. See, anything else here, you're jumping out of the range. Look at this one. This one's kind of interesting. It's real small here. It's basically picking up like a larger graphics mode. So. If you look here on the screen also, let me just put this back. If you look here also on the screen here, where you see these lines here, and this number 71, 64, 156, these are actually sending instructions to the graphics mode and telling you which line you're going to be, it's going to show you, I think this one is the beginning of screen memory. Here. Can't move around. I got like nowhere to move here, so I actually wrote this down here, so I wanted to kind of explain this instead of just going into the information I'm getting, by the way, is from this book. If you're curious, let me turn on the light because I don't think you'll be able to see this very well. This is the advanced programming techniques for your Atari, including graphics and. So inside this book, it's got actually things to show you how the display list is set up and how it works and stuff like that. I'll actually go back in here. It's at the beginning here. I'm going to get past the binary setup, and then it's right here. So this section right here, you see that where it says finding the display list. This is how you set up the display list on your computer. This is a test, and we'll show you all the scan lines that the computer is picking up. And these 2s right here are actually in response to everything here. So this 2 is actually making up the graphic 0. So earlier you saw me go in and change it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out a few lines, and I'm going to change this to a different number. Watch what happens to the screen. Oops, let me just set up a new line here. So something like 10. Remember, it's still in 2, but if I go in and change it, I think 6 is the one right there. So now this line has become graphics mode 1, basically. So whatever I want to type in here is what it is, basically. So it's graphics 1. Change it back by typing 2 again. You can kind of shift them around too. Watch this one. I'll change this to a higher graphics mode. So now it's in the center of the screen here. Now it's actually graphics mode 3. That's why it looks kind of funny. Oops. Did you see that? That's kind of weird, huh? What it's actually doing now is it's tapping into another area in memory. So it's looking at a different section in the memory of the display list. And I had something in my program I want to show you when I run this and do this. So actually, this line right here is the little trick that does it. I think this is the program, or it's probably the second one. No, it's actually the second one. Let me just go ahead and run the second one here. Oops. Either the second one or the third one. Let me see. You know, it's not this one. No, it's the second one. It must be the first one. Or else I lost it. Looks like I might have lost it. I can demonstrate it with this one. What it'll do is it'll output my name to the screen here. I'm going to turn off this line here for a second. And it's going to go and it's going to tap into another area in memory. And you're going to see a message up here in a second. So basically what it's done is it's put my name up on the screen here. So it's actually looking at a section in memory, which is actually at memory location 1536, which is where you can store a lot of the machine language instructions and stuff. Let me kind of show you how I did that here. Reset. Now if you look at this line right here, it says poke DL plus 4, 0, poke DL plus 5, 6. This is the line that actually did the trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remark this one out right now, just so I can get that list back up on the screen. Like that. Oops, you know, I'm going to push that down one here. How do you do this? I should do it. There we go. Okay, so now, what was the line I'm looking for? 110. Let's try this again. Okay, so 110. Now, if you look at this line here, you see it says poke DL plus 4, 0, and poke DL plus 5, 6. So what this is actually doing, if you look up here, remember the display list is actually created by this line. So this is DL. Let me just write it this way so people can understand. This first 112 here is actually poke DL plus 0, 112. That's exactly where you're getting that. And if you actually peek into that location, you'll see the same number. And the second one would be DL plus 1. So let me peek into that and show you. Oops, I'm trying to poke into it. So now you see the 112. So it's basically gone to the second one right here. The next one will be DL plus 2. So what that's doing, what I was trying to explain earlier on that, is it's telling Antic the display of 3 lines that are, it says here 8 rows high, that ensures the text or picture will be on the screen and not in the overscan area. So these 3 lines here, you don't want to ever change anything with DL plus 0, 1, or 2, because it'll mess up the display. Then let me show you real quick if I change it. What I'll do is I'll change it and I'll revert it back, otherwise I'm going to lose my program here. So poke DL plus 2, 112. And we'll change it to something else here, up here. This line here is just going to allow me to restore it because the screen's going to turn off. So now you can't see anything. Now it's turned back on. So if you try to change this in any way, I don't know if it ever does anything. It just, the computer doesn't understand and it kind of blanks out the whole screen. So you never really want to change any of those lines, whether it's 0, 1, or whatever it is. That time it actually moved it up, because it looks like sometimes you can play with it, but I guess this what it does. You see what it does is actually added an extra one here, so I think it's actually counting how many more of these I added from, if I'm not mistaken, 222 minus 112. So I added actually 108 more scan lines. I believe that's what it did, or 108 more rows down here at the bottom. So let's just fix that back the way it was. That's kind of interesting. What if you put 1 in here, I wonder what'll happen. And it just blacks out the screen. So apparently it seems to recognize anything. Oh, if you do over the number, that's what it is. So if you do over the number, but if you try to do under the number, it's not going to like it. Let's see, maybe 74. No, it does. It kind of just, it shifts the screen up and down. So it's controlling how many of these lines you're seeing on the screen. Notice this one has more than this one down here. So anyways, the most important things you want to pay attention is this next one here. This is actually setting up a jump call to the next two lines here, and these are actually an instruction being interpreted by Antic, and Antic is what you're looking at right now. Antic, well, Antic is actually the. I have to actually refer to my notes here because Antic, there's a chip inside your computer that actually controls the graphics, and basically this is what Antic does. It allows this, and it's running simultaneously in the background, so it's allowing you to control the display and allow you to change it to stuff like this and put those scan lines in there so you can create your own modes and stuff like that. So anyways, this video can get pretty long, so let me go into the next thing I was going to tell you about, which is right here. So the next one we got 0, 1, 2, 3, so 4. So DL plus 4 and DL plus 5. And if you actually peek into those, you see 64 and 156. So the way to calculate this is you take 64 plus 156 times 256, and what that is going to show you is the beginning of the screen address in memory. So if you see this number right here, you can actually poke into it, and it'll put something on the screen here. Let me show you. 33. So did you see that appear up there at the top there? I could kind of move it around here if you want to see it happen again. So plus 40, we'll multiply it by 14, so move it down 14 lines, 33. So basically it's stuck an A over here in the corner, which I can't get to right now, but you see it right there with the side there. So that's some of the other things that's going on. Is it's getting first, let's say the beginning of screen memory, and this right here, these are all the 2s. Remember, these are just the number 2 representing graphics 0, and if you change this to 6, it's going to be graphics 1, 7 is graphics 2, and it goes all the way through the graphics modes, which I believe go all the way up to, I think it was 15 if I recall, or 11 or something like that. No, 13, because 13 they start over at 13. Okay, so what we're paying attention to is this next 65 right here. And keep in mind, these are just right after all the 2s. So the 65 here is another 2-part instruction to take these next 2 things and execute the address in here. So 32 plus 156. We're going to do what we just did here earlier. Whoops. So we're going to take 32 plus 156 times 256. And this is going to show you the beginning of where the display list actually starts in memory. So no, it's actually called the beginning address list, the display list. So when you saw me run that program earlier that actually changed the graphics 1 screen and moved everything at the top, what it was doing is manipulating these values, and it was moving these things around so it could take the text window and move it up here basically. So those are some of the other pretty cool stuff you can learn on the Atari. That's what I'm going to keep this one basically a set for this to show people how display lists work, and if you want to be able to change them and stuff like that. Like I said, once you start doing stuff like that, you can kind of set them to your own style, what you want to do with them and stuff like that. Oops. Before. Let's see. And let's see, plus 32. Let's just see if I can move this thing back over here. That's 131. Well, anyway. I'll kind of fix it back the way it was. So that's just going to be the only thing I'm going to show you on this one. Maybe next time I'll go into some other things actually called display list interrupts, which allow you to actually change the individual scan lines here on the screen and set your own colors. You can even use it for a rainbow scroller or all kinds of cool stuff. I've actually done this on my channel. If you look at my the Atari Dead Main game I have out there as the demo, it actually demonstrates this pretty well. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe. I'll try to get more Atari videos up there as they keep coming along, and try to teach you some more of the stuff that I've learned along the way. So thank you for watching.